You're listening to the Bleav in Giants podcast with two-time Super Bowl winner Carl Banks and the voice of the Giants, Bob Papa.
And we welcome you to another edition of Bleav in Giants presented by FanDuel. Bob Papa, two-time Super Bowl champion Carl Banks. And Carl, Odell Beckham Jr. is back in the mix.
Wait, what?
Yeah. I don't know if you heard.
Something happened? I beat the drum loud enough, and OBJ is back in the building. I'm excited. I'm excited for him. I'm excited for the Giants wide receiver room. And I'll tell you the reason I'm excited, Bob, is that he gets an opportunity. Nothing is guaranteed. But being in that wide receiver room, not just him, but he's got Smith-Schuster and Berrios there, along with the guys that are there. If a guy who has, let's just say, there's no disrespect whatsoever when I say this, but you have a guy like Jaylen Hyatt, it's go time, right? Because you got guys. And I'm not talking about a go route. I'm talking about it's go time. Every phase of your game, they're coming. And you're going to see a pro's pro do it at a different level. Schuster is a guy who's been a very good player in the league. Berrios has been an incredible possession receiver in the league. But you got in that room, in Odell Beckham, one of the best to ever do it in every phase of it, from preparation to practice to performance. He's not trying to get an exit out of the building. He came to stay, just so y'all know. So if you thought you were going to ease into this thing now, everything you do is going to have to be elevated, because he is going to elevate that room of young players. I don't worry about a guy like Darius Slayton, because he is a smart, hardworking, self-motivated, and driven person, right? But when that room shakes out, don't be the guy on the other side of the door. Because I'm telling you now, you let Odell in, it's going to be hard to get him out. He's going to do everything he can to improve the team, help the team, and make the team. So, again, nothing is guaranteed. He's going to have to earn it. But I'm going to tell you now, for someone like a Jaylen Hyatt or any other young kids, if you haven't seen what work looks like in every phase, don't blink, because Odell's going to do it at a level that's going to make him a keeper. That's my prediction. And if he doesn't, okay, he had opportunity. But I know that he's there to make that room better, that team better, and he wants to make the team.
It was interesting. As I was walking into the building yesterday morning, I saw the car service that the Giants use, and there was a van out front, like a party bus, and I'm like, got some people in. So, I got word that Odell was in there, Juju Smith-Schuster was in there, Braxton Berrios was in there. I think one or two other guys were in there. And, it was kind of interesting because I saw Odell in the hallway, but I didn't cross paths with him. Like, he was making a left and I was just kind of coming down or whatever. So I didn't get a chance to speak to him. But, seeing him out on the practice field yesterday, he didn't do anything, but he was fully dressed out, energetic. He was standing next to Coach Nagy quite a bit. Because he's radioing the calls with the walkie-talkie. So Odell's standing right next to him, listening to what's being called and all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And look, the Braxton Berrios, I think that's a 1-for-1. I think with Gunnar Olszewski getting injured and being lost for the year, you're bringing in a guy that has punt return ability. Calvin Austin has returned punts at a successful level in the past, but I think he's more part of the regular offense. So I don't think they want to use him in punt return as much. So Berrios kind of fills that gap right there of a guy that's going to give you everything on special teams. You can spot him in there as a receiver, but he's going to be a return guy for you. And then be interesting to see about Juju Smith-Schuster because, his high water mark was his second year in the league. He's bounced back and forth with Kansas City and New England. Hasn't had a tremendous impact as far as numbers are concerned. I think last year he had 30-something catches. He's going to be 30 in the fall. But I look at this room, Carl, and nobody has any idea, right, about Malik Nabers. We have no idea. We have no idea what the progression is, what the timetable is, what the doctors and trainers are saying. But it certainly feels like to me, Carl, they're creating a lot of depth and a lot of pad within the roster in the event that Malik Nabers isn't going to be ready for the start of the regular season. When he comes back, we don't know.
Right.
But they've created a lot of competition. They got Slayton, they got Mooney, they got Austin. Obviously, Malachi Fields factors into all of this.
Sure.
Odell Beckham Jr., Braxton Berrios, Juju Smith-Schuster. And then where's Isaiah Hodgins? Where's Jaylen Hyatt? Where's Bo Collins? Where's Dalen Cambry, Ryan Miller, Xavier Gibson? There's a lot of depth there as far as creating a competition level and making sure you have some veteran hands in place so that if Nabers is not ready to go or until Nabers is ready to go, you got some guys in there that have been there, done that.
So, yes, you're absolutely right. On the Nabers thing, it's not a matter of whether he's ready for week 1. He's the Giants' investment. He's ready when he's ready, fully. So I don't think this is a rush. Like I said, the head coach, his job is not in jeopardy. He's going to be here for a while. There's no rush to bring your franchise receiver unless he's 100% where he needs to be. So, yeah, they're building some cushion. They're building that cushion with players who have had success in the league. And hoping other, like a guy like Malachi Fields makes his contribution right away. Slayton makes his contribution right away. Mooney makes his contribution right away so that you can run a functional offense. And let's not forget, they've got really good tight end, one of the best in the business, who functions as a wide receiver as well in the passing game. So, they're doing what they have to do to ensure functionality at a high level at the position. And then when the franchise is back, they plug him in. But I don't think there's a rush in any way, shape, or form. And hopefully, Malik is going to let the process do what it does so that, he doesn't have any setbacks. And so, here's another thing that benefits having Odell on the roster. He's been through that too. Tore his up in the Super Bowl, right? So knowing the importance of, making sure you're all the way right before you come back is important.
It's interesting, Carl, the reaction. When the news broke yesterday, it's hard to believe that Odell Beckham Jr. signing back on with the Giants could get overshadowed, but within minutes or within a relatively short time frame, the Myles Garrett trade breaks.
Yeah.
And then later in the day, A.J. Brown going to New England breaks. But I was thinking about this because, my phone's blowing up And, I was sitting in the cafeteria and one of the security guards said to me, I think it's done. I'm like, really? I said, all right, interesting. So suddenly, social media, phone, it's going crazy. And it's interesting how it crosses age lines, right? So for those in their 20s, 30s, they cannot eat this up enough. Right. Maybe some people in their 40s, but definitely the 20 and 30-year-olds are like ecstatic. I'm using my kids as an example. I'm using the Scarlatta twins as an example. I'm looking at all these things that are being posted. Then I'm getting texts from people more in my age group that remember the negative part of the way it all ended with Odell Beckham Jr., which I found kind of interesting. And I kind of shot some text back at some people, and I'm like, that was 2018. Man, that was 8 years ago. Like, that was a long time ago. People evolve, people change, people grow, people mature, people go through their own hardships. He realized he's no longer bulletproof. So I was kind of going back at some of my buddies a little bit, like why I think this is actually a good idea. And it costs you nothing, kind of kick the tires scenario on it, right?
Right.
I mean, it's not like you're hampering your salary cap with some ridiculous contract or anything like that. It kind of is what it is. The guy hasn't played in the league since 2024. He played 9 games with Miami and then asked for his release. Did play 14 games with Baltimore in 23. Didn't play in 22, recovering from the knee injury suffered in the Super Bowl. That might have gotten him the MVP if he doesn't get hurt.
Yeah.
So I'm fascinated by all this. I'm fascinated how he's going to rub off on his team. Here's the one thing. Let's say you know what my biggest concern is? Him staying healthy during training camp.
Yeah.
To get to the season, because older players tend to get injured more. And then, the soft tissue and all that other stuff. He's going to be ready to go and be in shape, but you also know that he works his butt off. But let's just go on the premise that he's healthy and he's got stuff left in the tank, which you and I both believe he does. The Giants, and you and I talked about this a lot. The Giants last year the last couple of years, have been absolutely horrific, especially when Nabers is not in the lineup.
Right.
Of making above the X's and O's plays. They were terrible at it.
Right.
Now, what Malik did in Dallas last year, those are the above the X's and O's plays, which is why you drafted him in the first round.
Yeah.
But they don't do anything special. They haven't done anything special. Their drop rate has been ridiculously high over the last couple of years, the amount of passes dropped. And even if Odell is a fraction of what he once was, and like I don't expect Odell to take a slant like he did against Baltimore for a game-winning 64-yard touchdown, catch and run. I don't know if that's still there. But you know what I know he's going to do? He's going to catch the ball on the slant and at least get the first down.
Yeah. He won't come up on a 3rd and 4, come up a yard short. He's going to – and that's the beautiful part. He's always been able to manipulate coverage, manipulate player, find how to get to his spot. I guess if we were using a basketball terminology, he could still get to his spot. But I want to go back a little bit because, I don't really weigh in on individual character, right? And I don't spend every day with Odell Beckham. I haven't spent any time with him since he left the Giants. But I can tell you about the football character of Odell Beckham, and some of his actions on field were probably unwarranted, but there's nothing about that kid that doesn't say he wants to win badly. I mean, he wants it bad, and it sometimes manifests itself and comes out in the wrong way. But it's all in that that quest to win, to be great. But it was not just for him winning. He wants his teams to be good too. And sometimes he thinks he can will a team on him by himself, and that's some level of frustration. But the football character of, I know the football man, Odell Beckham, and I can tell you he's a fit. If he can make this team, and we're going to all find out, I suspect he will. He's the right fit for a culture that needs winners, guys that are dying to win, who will do whatever it takes to win, that will help their fellow teammates win. I said this on a previous podcast. We're not dealing with the aura of Odell Beckham. We're dealing with the football player Odell Beckham now. The aura was, the guy was a rock star. I mean, he's still a rock star, but that aura, we've, over the years, we've absorbed it. We kind of get it, right? We know what comes with it. And he also knows what the expectations are of him. And that comes with maturity. So I can't vouch for the person. I can, but I won't. But I can vouch for the football man. And he's what you need. And, I have personal feelings towards Odell, and I think he's great, but that's not for me to broadcast to you guys, right? I know how he was raised and all of those other things, but the football man I can vouch for. And I can tell you he's what they need. He's gonna be a great addition.
Yeah, I mean, I'm anxious to see him get to work. It was weird seeing him standing out there with number 3 on, which he did wear number 3 with the Rams. He wore number 3 with the Dolphins. He wore number 3 with Baltimore. Now, obviously, that number belongs to Abdul Carter.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting to see what number he winds up settling on if he makes the team. Is there a negotiation with Jaylen Hyatt? Like, who knows? But all I know is this. I think he's going to bring a jolt to this group. I think he's going to bring some energy. And I think because he was great, right? Like, he was great.
Next level
great. I mean, I still marvel about his rookie season. What he did in 12 games was absolutely breathtaking. And you know what? Here's the other thing you got to remember too about him, Carl. He's a Super Bowl champion. Like, right. He was on a team that won a Super Bowl.
And he contributed greatly before he got hurt.
Correct. So I think those are all great recipes. And I think the fact that you have John Harbaugh as your head coach, I think is a very important factor because they have worked together in Baltimore. It'll be interesting to see how this, I mean, what do we always talk about? You want competition, right?
That's right.
Well, they've created layers of competition across the board. You're going to have Gibson, Cambry, Miller, Berrios, all battling for return receiver roles. You're going to have the bigger frame guys, the downfield threat. You got numerous people there battling for it, but I think you bring up a really good point. Like, all right, Bo Collins, he got in 2 games last year. Had a couple catches. I know that they liked him. He obviously brings some size to the table. He's going to get pushed. Jaylen Hyatt, clearly, I mean, going into year 4.
Go time, bro.
I mean, your rookie contract expiring.
You say they like him. It's a game of yes, they like you. They want you to be good. But if the guy who is competing with you is better than you, they like him too.
Yes.
They like him better. And, you've got to earn your spot. You know that they like you, so they're not going to treat you bad, but you're going to have to earn it. And listen, you are like a guy like Jaylen Hyatt. All I can say is it's go time. And no different than with Evan Neal, who I like a lot. Y'all got to make more than an impression now. Like the competition just keeps getting better and better. They don't wait for you. This is not the scholarship deal. Well, his freshman year, he was kind of learning the game, and sophomore year, he got his footwork and he's gotten stronger. So his, junior year, he's ready to be a starter. Nope. That's not your trajectory. Your trajectory was that when there was not talent on the roster. There's an abundance of talent on the offensive line. There's a room full of talent in the wide receiver room. So, yeah, your growth trajectory is you're going to have to take a major, major leap in order to get in the attention and to get a roster spot. I don't think being a draft choice is a guarantee that you won't get cut. And I think that's the right approach. I don't think from the outside noise standpoint, he drafted so-and-so, but he didn't work out and they end up cutting him. Okay, as long as the team is still winning. If the team cuts a guy and they go to the playoffs this year, what does it mean? It means picking players isn't an exact science, but the ones they picked that got them to the playoffs, that's what matters, not the ones that they cut that didn't work out. Because here's the thing. Players have a lot to do with why they get cut too.
Oh, sure.
You can pick them. You can get the data. You can look at them. They can pass the eye test. And then when they get in, you see, oh boy, okay, well, let's see if he gets it better. We saw a different guy in year 2. And then in year 3, you're like, okay, we're about to draft somebody else. And we're going to draft a couple somebody else's. And let's see how that works out for you. Oh, still not working out for you? Okay. It's been real. Like, you can't, I don't fault coaches not coaches, but front offices when they miss on a player, as long as the hits are greater than the misses. It's not an exact science. And again, we can look at some of the most successful organizations and we won't notice the guys that they cut. Some of them are second round, third round draft choices. They just weren't good enough to make the team, but they were good enough to be drafted where they were. And here we are. And we're going to find out a lot. Speaking of that, the quarterback that the Rams have picked to be the successor of Matthew Stafford.
Ty Simpson.
Yeah. We're going to find out about that too, whether or not he's at that level. But at some point, they get cut. Look, Kyler Murray. First round draft choice, top 5, top 3?
Yeah.
Ran around out there in Arizona for a while until, just not enough results.
I want to preface something I said earlier in the respect that when I mentioned, Kyler Murray was the first overall pick in the 2019 draft. The thing I want to preface, I mentioned, I threw Bo Collins' name out there because that was a player that was very intriguing. We enjoyed watching him in the preseason. He only played in a game or 2. I think he had 2 catches for the entire year. Intriguing prospect. But the thing I also have to preface my own comment was when I said they like him. It's a new regime. I'm thinking of the old regime.
Well, here's the other part too, Bob.
The old regime liked him.
Finish your point.
The old regime, I don't know what Harbaugh and his offensive staff think of this player.
Right. So they like him because he was, good on a team that had average players. Right now, put better players around and see if you like him as much. Right. We have to, as Giant fans, raise our standards a little bit now. Right. Because when you're struggling to like a guy as a backup because you don't have quality, frontline guys with, last year was an exception because they did get better talent. But we spent years rooting for guys as starters and saying that, he looks promising. When in essence, he's a backup on any good team at best. And then the backups for the Giants, you couldn't have a discussion on who's going to compete for exposition on the offensive line. Is either you had the good guy and you had the bad guy, right? Or the not so good guy. I don't want to call them bad because they're on a roster in the NFL, so they have talent. But now it's time to raise our level of expectation for talent. Look at the talent that was accumulated over the last couple of years. And you see just how mediocre the roster was. And you're starting to see now, okay, this is what real talent looks like. This is what, entering the NFL and being competitive looks like. And so offensively, I think the Giants had that. They got that figured out in a lot of areas. And then they bolstered it over the last couple of years. Defensively, not so much. But this year and last year, you're starting to see, okay, this is going to be a different type of team. But this year, especially in this draft, you saw an identity. You saw exactly what they want to be and how they drafted. So I just think for Giant fans, let's raise the expectation, especially on the talent. And I'm sure some people will be like, Carl, I've been saying this team is ass for a long time and you've been pumping them up. And yeah, I always encourage and I'm supportive of the players. I'm not naive to think that, they had better talent than they had. And then the ones that did have better talent, I called them out and wanted them to live up to that talent. So yeah, I mean, but it is time to raise the expectation.
Before practice started yesterday, or before team was just out there loosening up a little bit, I had a chance to talk with Coach Harbaugh for a few minutes on the top of the steps leading down to the field, and we were talking about Gunnar Olszewski, and I think that one cut a little deep. I think everybody likes Gunnar. I think everybody saw last year. We saw it in the preseason, and again, not to kick dirt on anything, but we watched him in the preseason, and he and Dart seemed to connect, and he seemed to get open a lot. And we were wondering, how come they never use him? When things weren't working, why not roll him out there? He seems to get open. And then, of course, he has the 100-yard game in the last game of the regular season, which was good for him. Now he has the Achilles injury. He's out for the year. But I could sense from Coach Harbaugh just talking about it, kind of stings a little bit. Maybe they looked at it. Maybe they looked at the film and said, why didn't they use this guy a little bit more?
Yeah.
A jack of all trades,
Yeah. So I'm going to throw something out there, and this is not a conspiracy. It's a big question, though. You've had 3 Achilles. Is it 3 or 4 Achilles?
3.
In non-game action. I don't recall the Giants ever having an Achilles in their practice grass field or in their practice facility.
I do.
Who'd you get?
Remember the wide receiver that we all liked? What was it? Colin Johnson?
He did it on the
Remember,
inside.
outside on the ground. I was
Outside,
standing
okay.
right there when it happened,
Yeah.
non-contact. Remember,
You're
because
right.
he was going to take Kenny Galladay's spot.
That's right. That is correct.
And it was like just, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but they did. They had the undrafted rookie free agent that they signed, who they really pursued heavily. Roy Robertson Harris, and now Gunnar Olszewski. I'm sure, like as Bill Polian would say, they'll head into the laboratory to try to figure out if there are any connections with that.
Yeah.
But the one thing about Gunnar, I will say, first of all, he was always nice to my kids, especially Max. And more importantly, he will forever be the guy that threw the touchdown pass to Jameis Winston.
That's right.
Get well, Gunnar.
Get well, Gunnar. Yeah. So it's a different weight, strength and conditioning program and different head of that this year. So I don't know. I mean, it's maybe age had something to do with it. I don't know, but it's just, like you said, they got to go to the lab and figure it out. I don't know if I'm pretty certain that the grass fields, which are kept in immaculate shape, were not necessarily the root cause of any of this, but they have to look at everything.
But Carl, correct me if I'm wrong. And maybe I'm just seeing things through years of experience lens and I'm looking at things differently. But, having first started doing the pre and the post game show in 1988. So being around when Parcells was there, which I think he was the one that said, remember, coaches don't cut players, players cut players.
Yep.
That's a whole nother story. It felt like to me, older players had Achilles injuries, whether it was Lawrence in 92, Testaverde, and the guys that had these injuries. It felt like it was always like older players that they got to a certain point in their career. Maybe there's a loss of flexibility in some way, shape, or form. Older player. Now we get like young guys are getting Achilles left and right.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's really weird. Like you would think the younger body has more pliable joints and more flexibility, but yet these things don't tear when they're loose, they tear when they're tight, right? And I hope we get this whole training thing under control, because the whole bigger, faster thing is great to watch while it's available, but big, fast, and unavailable means you're just waiting for the guy to get well to see if he can complete the job.
It's just it's crazy because it's league wide. It's not just Giants. Yeah. It's you hear about it all the time, and you sit there and you just say to yourself, man, I don't. When did this injury become a young man's injury?
Achilles injury was kind of rare too. I don't recall a lot of guys when I played that tore Achilles, unless they, like you said, they were older players. I hope they get this thing figured out, though, man. The bodies are doing a lot of things different than when I played, so the demands are different on the different joints. I have my theories on cross-training, meaning multiple sport. Some people just Bleav in doing one thing the same way over and over and over again. So, listen to Pat Curran on Sirius XM radio, and he was talking about the life of Raymond Berry, and he said Raymond Berry told him something that was very transformational in his evaluation and his coaching of players. He said that wide receivers don't have to run every stem in their route. Meaning, if you got a guy who runs in practice, 100, or not 100, 25 pass plays in practice. Some of those routes should be the top of the route, some are at the bottom of the route. Just practice the parts of the route because they don't forget how to run them. And
Right.
and Pat was just talking about that. And this was prior to, I don't think they were talking about Achilles injuries, but he was just talking about, keeping players fresh and how to work with them. And he said Raymond Berry told him that a long time ago, that, just work the stem of the route, right? He said they won't forget how to run the route. You don't have to drill it into them all 25 routes of practice, right? Just make sure they got it, and then you just work on outbreaks, in cut of the route, or getting to the top of the route, So there's a lot of things that you can learn from the wisdom of former players, Hall of Famers. And I would like to think that thinking was way ahead of the way
Of its
coaches
time.
were coaching then. Yeah.
All right, so we've covered the wide receiver room. Anything else that you got on your mind about this team?
No, I'm excited, man. Each week is it's fun. It's fun, and you hear more and more about the way this team is working hard together and really building something. So I'm interested to see what that product eventually is on opening day. But you hear so many really good stories about how they're building something on both sides of the football. Phil and I ran into Kayvon at the town hall, and you were upstairs with Burleson and Sean. And Kayvon just came over and we were talking, and he said, "Man, this is hard." He said, "This is hard," like meaning the off-season training. And then he had this smile on his face. He's like, "But yeah, I like it because I think this is gonna take us where we need to be." Like, that's the embrace that you hear from these players. Like, he's like, "Dude, this is as hard as I mean, I've been training hard my whole life, but this is hard." And then he just broke out in a smile and said, "But I think this is what we need. This is going to get us where we need to be." And so that tells me that this program and the players and their approach to their players has really taken hold. And they're embracing it, and they Bleav in it, and it's moving in a direction that should produce good results and fun results for the fans.
Yeah, I mean, well, listen, the way they were doing it has resulted in 13 wins over 3 years. So something had to change, right?
Yeah, well,
something had to change.
I mean, I heard some music at practice, but it ain't a whole lot of music blasting.
No, there was
one period.
Yeah, there was some music yesterday. It's definitely toned down, right?
Yeah.
It's about football. It's about getting ready
focus.
for football. It's focus.
About focus, yeah.
And then everybody's pretty into, just in wrapping up here. So next week is veteran mini camp. So that's the mandatory mini camp that everybody's got to show up to for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But it was interesting because floating throughout the building, whether it was I was down in the equipment room for a little bit, in the video area where we do our TV stuff, upstairs, over in PR. And even though it seems like a long way off, I was in and involved in some of the conversations, but also just heard some of like the logistics for training camp. Like all the little pieces for training camp, especially with the team going to the Greenbrier. And it makes you realize, like, dude, it's going to be here before you know it.
Yeah, it's right around the corner.
Like
we're almost at June.
Yeah, I mean,
we're almost done with June. Like, we're in June, meaning weather-wise, we're probably a few days away from really feeling like summer. And then as summer starts, you count down to the end of July, and boom, there's your training camp.
All right, Carl, how do we like to end this thing?
Tell a friend to tell a friend.
Bleav in Giants. Let's do it.
Bleav in Giants.